Hello, hello there. I am Harbleu, bringing you another Vancouver Titans match. Today we got a good one in store. Vancouver Titans versus Dallas Fuel. If you would have asked me before the match yesterday what I was thinking going into this, I would have been nervous for Vancouver because last week they looked rough. They did not have a good showing last week, but thankfully yesterday they looked much, much better. They had a comp you could tell they wanted to stick with running, which was the big issue I saw with them last week. Last week, they were switching their team composition almost every other life. And if your team's winning and you're like rolling, hey, switch all you want, more power to you. But if you're losing, then it just looks like you have no idea what you're doing. But yesterday against Shock, they looked much better. Unfortunately, it was still 3-0, but Shock's like the best team in the league. I don't think you can blame Vancouver too much for that. And I think Shock played Dallas Fuel last week, and Shock beat Dallas Fuel pretty handily. I think it was 3-1. So based off of that, this should be a bit of an easier match than yesterday. And yesterday's match, Vancouver looked like they could have taken a map at points there, especially the second map. But let me quickly run down the roster again here, just for anyone who's tuning in for the first time. On DPS, we have Dalton starting again in place of Linkser, and Teru on DPS. Teru will most likely be on a lot of Echo. He was having a pretty beast performance on it, just like on every hero he plays, it seems like. On tank, we have Changsik, who looked much better on Winston yesterday, and they ran some Orisa there. I expect to see him play both again, and then Fried Wiener on the flex DPS, with mostly D.Va, a little bit of Sigma here, again, I'd expect, depends on the map. And then support, this is where the big part yesterday was. We still have the bonus breadsticks going on. We have Fire and Rolf on the support, and if either one of them gets a boop off the map, that's the breadsticks right there. It had previously been, if it goes to 5 maps, that's when they would show up. But unfortunately, that's yet to happen. So we have some other areas where you can get them now, too. So if either of them get a boop on any map, off the map, then that's the breadsticks right there. So that'd be cool to see. But that's the quick roster rundown. Like I said, yesterday, Vancouver looked much better than their previous showings. From what I've seen from Dallas Fuel, it looks like Dallas really likes running that same mirror comp. The Winston D.Va, Echo Reaper, Lucio Moira. That's what you see a lot of these teams running. And with how Vancouver ran it against Shock yesterday, they looked like they were able to go toe-to-toe on a lot of the fights with it. I'd say their biggest issue, there's no denying it, it's their attack. Like, their defense there was pretty solid. On Hollywood, they had a pretty decent defense. And same on Hanamura, they had a good defense there also. But I believe it's 2 matches now since they've been able to cap at a point on attack, and that's never great. Obviously, that's something that they'll be looking to going into this match and making sure they have a better offense. I'm sure that was like over the past day the big thing they're looking at, because again, their defense was pretty good. But that's a quick breakdown for it to start. Let's actually go to quickly behind the numbers here. We got Teru, it looks like, is the spotlight for this week or this match. He's had 203 elims total, which, like I said, Teru is definitely like, I guarantee after this season's over, Vancouver should be throwing all the money at him to keep him, because teams are going to be wanting him. Teru has been a beast all season. So 203 elims, like I said, 157 assists, and 69,000 hero damage. That's a lot of damage right there, which Echo is one of those heroes that you just churn out damage on it. When on the Echo, I guarantee he's going to be adding to that number a lot going into this one. We also have the keys to the game, as always, presented by Best Buy and Intel. Number 1, focus on getting first blood, especially on Koth. The first map is Oasis, and on Koth, getting that initial pick and that initial fight win is huge. It matters on every map, of course, but specifically more so on King of the Hill, it always is the most important. Number 2, counter Fearless, aggressive Winston. Fearless, I think, is, as most people said, the best Winston in the league right now. His Winston has looked... The amount of stuff he gets away with on it and the amount of pressure he puts out is insane. So it's one of those things easier said than done, countering that aggressive Winston style. And I guarantee you'll see him on Winston for almost all of it. And then number 3, focus on keeping our supports alive. That has been an issue in the past. It's more so when Rolf was on either the Ana or the Zen. On Moira, it's not as much of an issue. He looked pretty good on it yesterday, so I don't think that'll be something that they're going to be... It's obviously something you always need to be making like a mental note of, but on the Moira Lucio comps, it's not as much of an issue, so I don't see them having to worry quite as much about that. But that's the keys of the game. You know, they're always good to have. let me see. So first map, like I said, it was Oasis. Oasis, in terms of boop challenge, unfortunately, is not a ton of boop areas there. So there are on some of the points. So maybe you'd see some breadsticks on that one. But I'm thinking more so on... Actually, I guess if it were to happen, it'd probably happen on Oasis. Which I tried saying if they boop someone into the car, that should be like a free pizza or something, not just breadsticks. But my idea was shot down. So what can I say? But... It looks like, I believe this match looks like it's starting soon. What does it look like we have here in terms of time? There what? Oh, it's still on desk. Never mind. We got some more time here. Did the prediction already close on Sportsnet? It says closed on your end. Does it close early? Do you guys know if it closes early on that? We're not sure on that. We'll unfortunately, I don't know that personally. Normally, I think they're open till the match starts, but sometimes they might be closed a little bit early. But like I said before yesterday, if you would have asked me going into this match what I thought, I would have said easy 3-0 for Dallas Fuel. Like, if I was giving my honest opinion, but with what Vancouver showed yesterday and the fact that Dallas Fuel is like a weaker team than Shock, I could see them taking a map, even two potentially. If they play like they did yesterday and they clean up their attack some, they could easily steal away a map or two away from Dallas Fuel. I still think Dallas Fuel is going to win the match. They look like the stronger team, but Vancouver looked stronger yesterday. I look forward to them improving upon that going into this match. But it looks like all the players are sitting. It looks like they're getting ready to start any moment here. So I will be back after the first map to break down what it looks like happening, and I will see you then.
Is a difference maker. It is all about the mojo and all about that swagger and the ability to turn some of these team fights around based on individual performances. So that is what I'm looking out for at the Dallas Fuel. I want to see them come out, just destroy the Vancouver Titans and do it in a glorious, fantastic way. That's what I'm looking out for.
So no hopes for breadsticks? Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, you get a boop, maybe, you know. Do you get multiple breadsticks if you get 2 boops? Like if you get 10 boops, like does all of Canada just have breadsticks? Like,
wait, does that breadstick
I don't think they just hand out one single breadstick. I think it's...
That. I hope so. That.
Oh. Yeah, yes. Let's go with yes. It is time for Pringle's bold prediction. And, you know, by process of elimination, Danny is the only one who wasn't bold. You've been... I don't want to say you've been close before because you really weren't. But as we learned, you know, if you go bold, you go bold. Yes. What you got for us today?
You guys want bold? I'll give you guys bold. You know what? You know, Johnny was talking about mojo. Dallas Fuel is not gonna have their mojo on this match. It's gonna be all Vancouver. Vancouver is gonna roll Dallas Fuel 3-0, and then because they like, you know, it's like breadsticks, and what pairs well with breadsticks? It's chicken wings, right? So Vancouver's gonna 3-0, and then that will make Paris have a chance for the knockout round. That's gonna be my bold prediction. Breadsticks and chicken wings.
Oh, that's some mental gymnastics. Like, you gotta stretch before you say these things. I don't know.
I like that one.
I don't know about this
3-0, baby. Vancouver, let's go.
I mean, like, no. I just want to hand it over to our casters now, Mitch and Matt. Did he go too far again? I think the answer is yes.
Science has gone too far! Prediction. What is this, Daddy? What is this?
Hey, that's Overwatch. You never know what's gonna happen, right?
No, you do. You do.
Yeah.
Some things are just on hashtag breadstickable, Danny. All right. Hold on. To be fair to Danny, BQB, OG, Slime, and Checkmate all think the Titans can win.
Checkmate!
Yeah.
So I trust that guy.
Checkmate, Johnny. Checkmate took the Titans today. Your boy.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we need to check what Danny's getting delivered to the house. You know, some of the also, why is it chicken wings and breadsticks? Why? Who makes that combination?
Yeah,
why? Yeah.
What?
People like, you dip the breadsticks in like the marinara.
No,
like, that's a combo.
No, you eat carbs and protein. What are you talking about?
Why not?
Chicken wings and breadsticks.
Who had chicken wings and breadsticks at the same time? Is that?
I do. You guys don't. Wait, you guys don't eat breadsticks and chicken. Wait, what?
Not the same time.
Danny,
when you get. No, you don't at the same time. When you get chicken wings delivered, does it come with like celery sticks or just loads of breadsticks? What comes
Celery,
with
but no one eats celery. Who eats celery? So you chuck that thing away and you order breadsticks, or you eat pizza. You eat pizza and the crust is like a breadstick, so you eat that with chicken.
It's not a breadstick.
Danny.
It's flat. It's not stick shaped. It's round. What kind of stick is round? You know what? The only way I can be more tilted is actually if your prediction came true.
I think Zoe's just leaving. I think she's not even gonna say goodbye to us. I think she's just gonna.
Hey,
are you gonna say goodbye to us,
No,
Zoe?
but I'm
Say goodbye.
protein and carbs. Protein and carbs.
right.
You know, yeah.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
listen, y'all can.
I think we're playing a
Y'all
game at
can
some
peepo
point.
leave. I am absolutely done with this platoon on the desk. All right, let's talk a little bit about the match here, Matthew. Dallas Fuel, Vancouver Titans.
Yeah.
Like we said, they've revolutionized the breadstick approach now by making it vastly easier to achieve the requisite conditions. Now, Fire has all this expectation on him. Now, Fire is the arbiter of the breadstick. He is the. I mean, he's the man that decides if people get their
The
carbs or
chosen
not.
one.
I mean, that is quite a
He is the
responsibility to
chosen one.
face here. You had to boot someone on the Dallas Fuel, man.
Yes. I love how we're not talking if the Titans can win. I think the bar has been set up. Can they get an environmental kill from a support to get breadsticks?
I didn't set that bar.
I mean,
I did not set that bar. The team literally decided.
I believe everybody just did. I believe everybody. The discussion was not whether they could win. Which, look, the Titans, they have not been good. We know that. They looked better in their match against the Shock, right? They ended up winning some fights. The Hanamura game, I believe, was pretty close if I remember correctly. So look, they're improving. It's just not at a rate that's going to catch them up to some of the upper echelon teams.
Well, that's always the trick, Matt, is that, season by season, all of our teams in the Overwatch League have improved. It's really a matter of how much you must improve to stay in step with the rest of the league. The Titans, in fairness, they start a little bit further behind because of how they had to rebuild their team essentially on the run last year. And they made some big acquisitions in the offseason, and I think we've got to see some of them shine here. I think Tero has looked incredibly good. He's displayed probably one of the single most insane individual moments on Genji on Junkertown. But it's a team game. The Titans really need to get all their ducks in a row. The addition of Chunksik, Matt, doesn't make it any simpler, right? There's all this adjusting that this team has to do, but you have the example of the Paris Eternal to follow, who we just saw, right? A team who has managed to integrate multiple players on very short notice. That is what you need to aim for as the Titans. Not even just a series win here, but to demonstrate, first of all, you're mad about that very lackluster performance last week. You're here to improve. And you're hungry, not just for breadsticks, Matt. That's important, okay? You never
they just got to keep
diet,
spirits high.
Protein is a thing. Let's have a look at the Dallas Fuel, though, because it's been a little bit of a precarious run for them so far in the June Joust match. Yeah, they're pretty well positioned to make it, but they've had some really difficult matchups, and the one against the Shock, I think, that's a wake-up call.
Yeah, it's a series that could have gone either way. It's a very close match. You see Fielder number 1 at our power rankings with IBM Watson in terms of supports. Everybody ranks up near the top, right? I mean, Fearless number 1, you have Sparkle number 2. In terms of damage dealers, that really it's their run at the main melee that gives you a lot of confidence here in the June Joust that they can make another run yet again. You win this match, you end up in knockouts. Even at a higher seed than you went into knockouts the last time, right? They go into knockouts pretty much on the final day, making it by a lot of math to now having a 4 or 5 seed potentially, right? As you go into the June Joust tournament.
And of course, watching Dallas go up against, was it the Mayhem? It was the Mayhem, yeah. That was a really long series in which they played that same composition, right, Matt? It was a ton of, you saw the Winston Diva, the Echo, the Reaper, the Moira, the Lucio, and they just played it over and over and over and over and over again. Great practice, I think, against the Mirror because, the Mayhem were also just intent on playing that composition and didn't switch. From the Titans, we may not see that. We might actually see a comparison of different styles here in different team compositions. Dalton starts in here for the Titans, who we've already seen a little bit of recently as well, but sort of at the start of the June Joust was much more Linkser. The Titans, though, really don't want to be without Teru here in that DPS role. And Chunksik, again, is continuing to be integrated into this roster, Matt. Yeah, it's good to see what Dalton can bring to this team. Like you mentioned, we saw a lot of Linkser in the lineup. We know what Linkser can do. We've seen them pivot over the last 2 games or so now to Dalton to play some. And we've seen good things. We saw good things from Dalton last year. I think for me, it's just can they play at a level that can beat a team like Dallas? I'm just not sure right now, and especially with Dallas having something on the line. The way a team like Vancouver gets a win against a team like this is if the other team comes in, they have nothing to play for, maybe they didn't prep for them as hard, right? Coming into a game like this against a team who is playing for their knockout lives after winning the previous tournament, a lot for Dallas on the line here, so they're not going to take this easy.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, your breadstick potential exists on 2 different parts of this particular map. Obviously, the edge here, where the Titans are playing, and the highway on the other side of the map. Keep an eye on engagements that occur over there. Already, good start here, and Teru is able to find Harnbin very low on health, so able to get the focusing beam to get him out of that mech. Good way to start things off here without a Harnbin mech, and Teru gets rid of the mini diva.
Yeah, a lot of damage coming down from the Echo right away, and it's because the Titans end up winning that initial trade over by the jump pad, where they put down a lot of damage, forced Dallas back onto the point. The Titans don't need to invest any of their ultimates to even get towards the end. They're able to just get rid of Hanbin's mech, and then once the mech is gone, that's when the Reaper can start to go to work.
Nicely done by the Titans. They take that high ground first, and they're able to translate that into a essential player advantage. This next fight is the more interesting one, though, I feel, with a lot of those ultimates online. So the Titans, not only do they want to win the fight, but make it as long, make it as costly as possible. And it will be Rolf to go for the Coalescence first. Deployment of the Bionic Orb, and then the Coal comes out here. You see the Reaper dropping into the backside now. That Rolf has to be careful. He's kind of forced out of line of sight somewhat. Self-destruct here comes from both Diva players. Dalton gonna try and deal with Sparkle right now, who's duplicated one of those Divas. And a sound barrier gets used here for the Vancouver Titans. There's your Death Blossom from Dalton. Much of it is blocked here, but nicely done. Again, the Titans isolate Hanbin. Fire may have fallen here, but it's looking like a Vancouver fight win.
Yeah, you have the advantage of having that Death Blossom once all the support ults and the duplicate are expended. Yeah, the Death Blossom is kind of the finishing blow there, as Dalton going to be up to 50% on his second Death Blossom, as Doha still holding on to his first. So things looking really good for the Titans. Even though this fight may kick off like 75% on the point, you're probably going to be able to stall this out to 80, 90, close to 99 if you're the Titans. This is a point which just goes on forever.
Yeah, we talked about how important it is to start in control of the point because they're long fights. It's hard to shift teams away. Doha goes for a not so subtle an approach here. Teleports forward, tries to go for a Death Blossom and get rid of a main tank, and Sparkle's able to snipe Teru off there in the periphery. It was Chunks that actually went very low.
Well, and they don't contest. They have a bunch of players standing around. They obviously only lose one to that Death Blossom, but they don't have anybody even through that Coalescence stand on and contest the point, which is massive for the Dallas Fuel, able to flip the point back. And there's where you see the power of the Death Blossom with no support ultimates on the other scene. Doha with just a teleporter in, able to get one. It'll be Fielder's Coalescence. And Dallas Fuel get aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, the Titans will have a Coalescence of their own in a moment. Maybe a chance to fight back, but they've already lost the Mecha Fried Wiener. And there it is, the self-destruct from Sparkle. Gets the job done. Chunksick got knocked off the map there. Sparkle really going above and beyond as Diva in that duplicate.
It's not the end of the world, though, for the Titans. To be, they end up using a few ultimates to duplicate the self-destruct Coalescence. You come back now, you can engage with your own Coalescence. You have a duplicate, which they can't match. Maybe you force them to use Sound Barrier. You have a Sound Barrier at the end here. For the Titans, plus your Death Blossom, you think that's enough to finish it off. If they use these ultimates and coordinate properly, you should be able to win a fight with this type of advantage.
Coalescence to begin with now. Dallas, surely they're going to be forced to go for a sound barrier at some point, but Jexer is holding on to it. Okay, let's it go. Fearless actually doesn't benefit from it all and is going to Primal Rage anyway. Still, he'll have the extra durability, but didn't get the overshield at all. Fielder got his call though, Matt. He's able to build it up in the meantime, and the Titans have used all their support ultimates, and they've not found any of those kills quite yet. Dalton trying to go to work here on Fearless, but fire goes down to the sticky bombs now, and self-destruct's thrown by both teams. No one falls to either of them as Hartman's able to get back in the mech, and Dalton is the second casualty in this fight for Vancouver. Surely they had to regroup here.
And when they end up using their own Coalescence, they have a window of opportunity there, the Titans. They just didn't go deep enough. Fearless is able to use the Primal Rage, keep control of the point for himself. This is over. Sparkle, oh, this is bad. Yeah, it's stagger kills here towards the end. But you didn't get aggressive enough. You needed to push on forward, you know, put some more pressure on the Dallas Fuel and allow Dalton to go and get a big Death Blossom off.
Into stall here, may have called a little bit too early, but Dalton's going to be hard pressed to get much more than the one kill with the Death Blossom, and no, and Harmbin puts him in the cone of silence. Sparkle has a duplicate at the ready, but he won't need to use it. The Dallas Fuel overcome Matt, and they win a fight with all they have is Jex's sound barrier. They hold on to it for ages, and they're able to deal with the Titans throwing 2 support ultimates at them one after another.
You just see how fast, you know, Field are able to build up towards those Coalescences.
Like 50 seconds, wasn't it, the other day?
Able to,
on average?
50, I think it was 50 seconds or 51 seconds the other day when we watched the Dallas Fuel. This time it was felt equally as fast as the opportunity that the Titans had, which they kind of squandered. Field was able to get his Coalescence during that. So, you know, you kind of see a lot of chatter about how this is kind of GOAT-esque. It's because of the Moira and the Lucio. They're able to farm these support ultimates so fast. And you know, Reaper just kind of tanky on his own, where you're able to brawl it out. So both teams are going to head their way over to the point. It's Fire heading up towards the high ground, looking for one of those.
That's it. Look, he's getting hungry. Plenty of breadstick potential on this map as well with that high ground, but Dalton gets blown up instantly. Not a great start.
Yeah. Well, everybody for Dallas made it up to the high ground. You had Fire go up there for the Titans. He drops, and then you just have Dalton up there with FRD. And Dalton, the Dallas Fuel, I mean, too good of a team to be out of position like that. They just focus Fire him down. He's dead instantly, and then Fried Wiener, just because he's up there, takes him out as well. Sparkle getting way too aggressive there, just kind of poking out towards the spawn. He'll get focusing beam by Teru. Opportunity here for the Titans.
He's been touched too much there for Sparkle. He'll be back in the fight soon, though, and if the Fuel can keep themselves going with this Coalescence, it could be good, but the Titans are coming up on their first ultimates, but they've lost Chunksick and the mech of Fried Wiener. Just as that crucial Coalescence is available, oh, they've lost essentially 2 players here. Terrible situation for the Titans, and Friday Wiener goes down after the D-suit here. There might still be a chance. Dalton can't get away. Oh, Fielder gets rid of him as he tries to escape behind the pillar. And that's another reset for the Titans, Matt. These mistakes, they're small. They're only small, but they cost them so dearly.
Why do they throw their Coalescence into that? I mean, that is a lost fight. They no front line. They end up popping the Coalescence.
Yeah, they've lost Chunksick, and I think that a de-suited Fried Wiener, right? And then they call.
Yeah, and now you come back. You don't have the Coalescence. You give a team like the Dallas Fuel 2 support ultimates here. They may just need to even just use... yeah, they don't even need to use the sound barrier to win this fight. They can just move on in with the Coalescence. Fielder just making sure Doha stays topped up as he uses the Death Blossom, but... Yeah, this is not looking good for the Titans.
We're playing the door touching game. Okay, we're there now. That didn't take long.
So now the Titans, you know, they're gonna have basically 6 ultimates here. I mean, if you can't win this fight, 6 ults against 2, you're in a lot of trouble in this series.
This is as good as it gets for Vancouver. Now it's time to make it happen. Chunksick steps forward there. Again, looking just to try and pressure Harmbin. Fearless again doesn't benefit from the sound barrier from Jexa, but has Primal Rage, so not a huge deal. That might be a problem though. Doha gets called out of position by Teru's self-destruct. There's one here from the Fuel that doesn't catch anyone as Sparkle tried to reciprocate. Well, Fried Wiener's going to get a self-destruct of his own, but Teru gets 2 self-destruct kills from different self-destruct instances in the same fight. And the Titans, through sheer weight of ultimates by the looks of things, they get that fight win.
They have to dump everything into that. But when they come back, though, the Dallas Fuel, you'll be able to use the Coalescence most likely. You'll be able to actually even farm a Death Blossom out of this. And you have a self-destruct. Split players off. So you see how the Titans play defense against this. Dallas making a push for the point now.
Death Blossom, as you sort of predicted, would be there for Dalton to get Sparkle. It's a cheap and easy pick-off that really puts the Titans in a great spot here. Makes you wonder how much more Dallas want to commit to this fight. It looks like a little bit more. Harmbin, self-destruct. No catch there, goes through a remake, but Dalton keeps his distance. Canneling now trying to pressure down Fearless, but Harmbin gets with the micro rockets. Here's Rolf's Coalescence. Should give them Jexa, but he's just able to skip away at the last moment. Dallas are continuing to fight here. They want to press onto Chunksy. He's very, very low. Friedwiener does get the remake in front of the Primal Raging Fearless, but Chunksy's fallen, Matt.
Yeah, and there'll be a sound barrier here for Fire, and it just connects with him and FRD. So I believe it was Fearless just kind of knocking players out of the way. So sound barrier comes in for the Dallas Fuel. Didn't look like much has gotten there. Coalescence here as well. So Dallas looking to finish it off, and I think the Titans knew the scenario they were in. They tried to push forward after they got some kills in that previous fight, because they knew if they just stood there and just took so much poke damage that players for the respawn were going to come back for Dallas, and it was going to be GG after that. Fire will get on, get a touch here, but looking like this map 1 will be favored, going in favor of the Dallas Fuel.
Fire, tough, impossible for him to touch the point at this stage. Jackson could have booped him away either way. Friedwiener desuited, looking like a dad bringing the Nuggies back home in Springfield, Missouri, but no W for his team right now. Self-destruct, nothing there, and the Dallas Fuel take map number 1. And it was a couple of, oh man, I want to say the small mistakes, because in this kind of composition map, there's so much going on, so many interactions that really Vancouver can't be happy with that result.
It's very similar to, how Goats was played, right? Where if there's, one ability or a cooldown used or an ultimate at an unopportune time, it really just kind of changes the flow and the pattern of the entire game. And when Dallas is not making that many mistakes, you have to be perfect if you're the Titans. And they had a few blunders there.
Clean stuff from the Dallas Fuel so far. They definitely want to feature in the June Joust properly. Stick around, ladies and gentlemen. Map number 2 is just around the corner. Pretty quick one for map 1.
Not bad. Not bad. Some good signs there again from Vancouver there. Unfortunately, they don't take the map or don't take a point on it still, so that first point gap is still elusive for them, but not a bad showing on both points. The first one, they won the initial fight and got it to like 85%, and then questionable for them not to keep recontesting with 5 alive. Like, if you have 5 up and the point is at like 85%, even if you know you're going to lose that fight, there's no way you should ever let that point cap without letting it get to like at least 95, 98%. Because at that point, it's a 1 fight win and it's guaranteed over. But at 85, the other team always has a chance to recontest. So a little, ultimately, I don't think it would have made a difference there, because I don't think they recapped it at all anyway. But it's still like little things like that are just like questionable decision making that someone on the team needs to like speak up and be like, guys, we have to touch this point. Let's get back in. And then on the second round there, the big issue I'm seeing is it looks like they're unsure, Vancouver, when they want to use their ults. It's looking like, I saw someone in chat there, Brandon said that it looks like Friedwiener holds onto his bombs for too long. I would say it's not just him. I would say Dalton also, especially on that first point, he held onto his Reaper ult at like 90% and never used it, and then he died. And you have to realize, if it's like 90% for the other team, if you die there without using your ult, you're literally never going to get to use it. So sometimes we have to realize, like, I need to use this ult. I need to engage with this. I need to be aggressive with this and get value with it. And it seems like a couple of the players on Vancouver are a little afraid to, like, use it early, which I can understand that, especially when, like, you're in a position Vancouver is in. It sometimes it looks worse to, like, the public if you ult early and don't get value with it than if you just hold on to it. And I'm not sure if like the players are thinking about that, because when you're like 0-7, you have like a lot of stuff going on in your mind about all that. But they need to realize being the one aggressive with the ults, engaging with them early and making plays with them is almost always the right play. So I would like to see them be a little bit more aggressive with them. But again, not a bad first showing. Going into Volskaya here, yesterday on Hatamura, they had a really good defense where they ran double shield. They ran the Orisa Sigma, and they looked really good with it. On Volskaya, though, the map is a bit different, where double shield isn't quite as good. So I'm curious to see if they're going to run that again here, because against Shock, they full-held Shock on last there. It was just their attack they struggled on. But on Volskaya, with how many more flank routes there are, how much more open it is, I wouldn't be surprised to see them run the Winston Diva again, just for the extra mobility from it. But, again, not a bad showing on that. It looks like they can go toe-to-toe in a lot of these just random brawl fights. Another big thing I noticed is it seems like the enemy Moira is normally building their coalescence before Rolf does. And that's not always like a support issue. That's sometimes like just how the team plays it, where they need to prioritize on having Rolf really try to form that Coalescence early, because Coalescence builds very fast, and whichever team builds it first, you're seeing them use it almost instantly and just engaging with it. So I would say they should look at trying to prioritize that some going into this map here. But unfortunately, again, they fall in the last map, but Volskaya here, they look like they were competitive again. It looks like they figured out whatever comp issues they had from the first week. It looks like they got more chemistry down with Changsik now also. He's the newer pickup they had. I've heard he's been more vocal going into this week, and it definitely shows. It looks like they're actually playing around him now and playing with his engages. So I'm looking forward to seeing them on defense again. They had a good one against Shock, but this is where they really need to start getting their attack in order. They've struggled on attack for a while now. It's been 2 matches since they've actually capped out on any points. So this is where I hope they've proven that they've worked on it some over, the break they had and can come out better going to this one here. Do we have any codes? Not right now, unfortunately. There might be some throughout the match later tonight. I'll check with production to see if they have any others that we can toss over. But unfortunately, right now, we ain't got any in store. But defense was good yesterday. That it was. But I believe this match should be starting any moment now. It looks like the players are all sitting, getting ready for it. So looking forward to seeing this one. And I'll be back after map 2, talking about map 3.
Sparkle! Oh my word! That's what we wanted to see.
Here is today's player resume presented by Indeed, featuring Fielder Matthews, someone who, was pretty much used to the whole idea of playing remotely last year. He played remotely from his whole team. He wasn't even in person with that Paris Eternal roster and was insane on really high ping. So already had a lot of expectations coming into a situation where he could actually play on low latency with the rest of his team.
And even just celebrate with his team, right? Paris Eternal, everybody celebrating. He just sat there in his home, like
he didn't look unhappy, but he didn't look happy either. You know what I mean? It was kind of like, yeah, Pog.
I mean, he's so tired. Who knows? Time playing. He probably didn't even know where he was after the match. Yeah. He's been tremendous, though. Like, I thought he was good last year, and I thought we gave him a lot of props for, hey, he does a great job playing on high ping. I feel like this year he's even, leveled up, a little bit more. It may just be kind of the entire team. Maybe it feels a little bit more comfortable. Obviously, the ping difference, I think, is massive. Maybe it's a meta, but he looks tremendous.
It's not a stretch to say that he's the best flex support in the league right now. You could probably get away with having him in the discussion. Now, for all you Vancouver Titans fans, Map 1 wasn't quite the bakery run you were hoping for, but aspiring to CS, fear not. Many more opportunities to go for the dough here as Volskaya comes up in our second map. The Titans, obviously, there's a legacy for this Vancouver team set by that roster from 2019. And not just a huge time bank, but also a very winning record. So you'll actually notice that as a franchise, the Titans still have quite a strong winning record. Obviously, not indicative of how they've looked so far this year. Obviously, 0-7 right now, the Vancouver Titans. And last year was a little bit rough for them here as well. So these players,
it's tough for them to... How do you live up to the standards of the 2019 team, right? That team was unreal. I think comparing them to that, obviously the same organization, but not.
I'm just saying the pennants are hanging
right?
in the Titans office of their roster. You got to look at that. You know what I mean? Every day when you come to work. They didn't really win any huge titles, but there were stage titles won by that team. Yeah, you know that's what you're playing. You're like your predecessors were in the grand finals 2019. I'm sure I think about it sometimes.
Ready for battle.
I actually, these players probably don't, to be honest. They're so distant from that team. And none of them played on that team. None of them were even in the league, really, at that time. Maybe FRD was on Atlanta towards the end of that season.
Right.
But
I sure as hell think about it, Matthew.
I
think about it.
Yeah, I'm sure the fans do as well. But I think if you're these players, you're like, why the hell am I concerned about Bumper? I don't have anything to do with Bumper, right? They're trying to craft their own journey, their own kind of path. It's not working out this far, but who knows? Is Arisa with a D.Va here on defense. And then we'll see Dalton on the hit scan. So Dalton stays in to play the Ashe here. So Dallas, this is not surprising. We see teams now committing this composition all across the board. Fearless steps out, just takes a ton of damage. And look at that. I mean, Fielder already, he's gonna get up to this Coalescence before we even get this first fight really kicked off.
See, someone like Fire has to be very careful about Coalescence because dumping altitude as Mercy isn't always easy. If you get caught in the open, you can actually just get beamed down. Someone wanted to call this the Dragon Ball meta because there were like big explosions and beams and all. In fact, I'm not phrasing it very well, but we can discuss that. But obviously the Titans play this sort of, it's a spin on the double shield with the D.Va just for a bit more flexibility, control the Reaper as well, a defense matrix, give you the option for forcing positioning with that self-destruct. I feel like Dalton's pretty crucial here, Matt, though. That echo, that Ashe pressure really needs to be felt. Here's what I was talking about, though. Those airborne targets getting pressured by Cole. It's going to be a D.Va duplicate.
And that duplicate is pretty much forced out by the Coalescence. Teru was so weak at that moment in time. He's basically forced to use Coalescence or die. And that's exactly what I mentioned. They're going to wait for the Coalescence before this first fight. Doha TP's up to the high ground, put some pressure onto Rolf. The Coalescence comes through, and then everybody just gets the speed boost up the stairs. So Dallas Fuel, this will be a fast take on point A. And this is why teams come out and play this on defense, because look at the Titans. They've now changed, 4 players. They also used the duplicate. They're now behind so heavy in Ultimate Economy. The Dallas Fuel are going to come in with a duplicate Death Blossom Primal Rage, probably a self-destruct during this. And you don't know, they could take this point B so fast.
Some teams wait until they have a support ultimate to start the fight, though, and that might give the Titans, or Rolf rather, a chance to build that up. Duplicate, Sparkle going to be another Reaper for the time being. There's a Primal Rage Winston. Teru is definitely the prime target for primaling Winstons right now. Friday Win is already DC'd, so this is going to be super nasty. The Death Blossom comes in, and no one can really stop Sparkle right now. Teru is down. Dalton lucky to be alive, but that won't be for long now. He doesn't have Wraith Walk available. The Titans forced back into the very prestigious of their own house. And now the Dallas Fuel setting up in the front yard. Fried will step up, stall a little bit here, but the Coalescence comes a little too late. The Titans never had a chance to get any value out of that Moira.
And it's, you kind of saw that coming. As soon as they made all of those changes going into point B, against a team like the Dallas Fuel, essentially it's over, right? You can't allow, I mean, if really any team, it's not even the Titans, any team that would go into a fight with the Dallas Fuel with just a self-destruct, and they have Primal, Duplicate, Death Blossom, and Coalescence, you're gonna lose. It's not a particularly hard fight to lose, right? So I feel like the Titans put themselves in a difficult spot. Probably really trying to rely on getting a longer hold there on A and then kind of see what happens on B, but broken really fast there. And this is why you see Dallas on their defensive side. They come out running the comp with the Reaper and the Moira, the Lucio, because you can't afford, if they take point A, to have those big like wholesale changes, 5-6 players make changes to hold on B.
And we sort of talked about it. Do Dallas sit back, wait for Fielder to build another Coalescence, and that's sort of the go signal? No. And maybe to a degree, Matt, they read, okay, well, they've changed their composition, so they're going to be behind us either way. Jexa.
He knocks him off the point here. Yeah.
Well, sometimes things don't quite go the way you want it to when it comes to stalling with individuals. It's still risky, right? Anything could happen with that one player that has to try and touch point. Here the Titans, Matt, on attack, and this time, though, they are going to come straight out of the gates with this more standard composition.
And on the first map, Oasis, they didn't even play bad, the Titans, in the mirror, right?
Couple small mistakes.
They get the first point. Yeah, a couple small mistakes. So I think you could have felt confident enough if you're the Titans to come out and play this on defense.
Here's Cole. And a rip. Dalton. Oh dear, he's able to get away, but only just. Has to use Wraith Walk early in the fight, though. That's actually a win condition for many of these teams, forcing that Reaper positioning early. Let's see now what the Titans can do now that Dalton's had a chance to take a breather. Let's see. Rolf built up his next Coalescence. He's just used his first one already. There'll be a beat here for Fire. Waits until the bubble's gone, and there's the beat. A little bit higher, but he's able to land it either way. Jex is going to have one in just a moment here. Self-destruct goes off now. There's going to be 2 more of them, though. Sparkle lets one go on the high ground, but Hanbin, he's the one that catches fire. Frywinner now drops to the point. He needs to go to a self-destruct to get his mech back, but he's not going to be allowed to do so. Doha stays around and Wraith walks before the explosion comes out. I mean, Matt, you can't ask for much more from the Dallas Fuel there. That's pretty clean in the mirror.
Very. And they'll have a Coalescence again to kick off this fight.
Really?
Plus Primal Rage.
Really?
Really,
Yeah, Matt, that's wild.
I mean, Rolf's going to have it too.
Wow.
This is just insane. It's, both teams. Well, there's so much damage that goes down, and it's all in this clump, and Moira is just able to, like, the Lucios don't even care.
People are saying Jexa builds beat slowly. It's because the other team takes more damage than his, consistently. I mean, he doesn't get ult charge from healing that often. Now he's building it up. Fielder and Rolf have their Coalescences. That's right, very epic battle, power level over 9,000, etc., etc. Back to the point, fold the Fuel as Chunksy goes low in Primal.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but both supports can end up, taking that damage that goes down during Primal and start healing it up. And we're already at a Jexa sound barrier here for this fight.
Let it rip. Dalton in the middle of everything there. Unfortunately, also in the middle of the defense matrix. He's able to find Fearless at the very least, so the 2 teams have traded their Winstons out. Sparkle with a resuit, self-destruct there for Teru. He climbs back in the mech. Hanbin gonna re-mech right in the way. Teru, I think he just came out of duplication, Matt.
I think he
was stood there like a stunned mullet. Oh my gosh. It's like the little dollies when you're a kid getting dressed up in clothes they don't want. Yeah, Teru didn't want a mech. He was done with that. Got dumped on. Unlucky. Here's Coalescence now again.
They're going to try and engage with this. Oh, they're going to layer the sound barrier with the Coalescence they need to because of the damage from Doha's Death Blossom. So he'll make it around the corner with the Wraith form. You'll still stay in this if you're the Dallas Fuel. So Sparkle going to have a big duplicate coming up.
Doha getting pressured out of position for a moment there and just Wraith walks away from Dalton's Death Blossom. He has to go back with Wraith Walk himself now. Oh, fire. Yeah, he's too low. Fearless able to catch him there. And it's going to be the rest of the Fuel. Just leap upon the dregs of the Titans. Oh, and they're in the doldrums, Matt. 30 seconds remain for Vancouver to get something, not even a tick to their name so far.
And what the Fuel will probably do is as soon as they get the Coalescence, they're going to go aggressive with the Coalescence, force whether it be a fight or a disengage from the Titans. And then when the Titans try and come back, because they'll have to use their Coalescence to get through it, you'll have Jex's sound barrier if you want. So see Fielder with the Coalescence. This will start the fight off. And then this is going to try up. There's Rawls Coalescence, and then watch for Jex's sound barrier here towards the end.
Dallas obviously don't mind giving up a tick or 2 here. They've already finished their attack. It's all about winning the fight in the end. Doha, deep. Oh, he's able to get Dalton at the very least, and he'll be looking for more. He gets it. Doha, never satisfied with just a little.
Thinks I got a tick.
Chunksik, wow, that's fantastic. Chunksik very pleased with himself, I'm sure, as he heads back to the... Well, he doesn't actually have a team to go back to. Oh, I hate to see it. He gets taken down there. I mean, it could be worse, Vancouver. You could be getting breadsticks and pizzas mixed up, but it's not a map win.
And it played out exactly how I was saying it was going to be, where they forced out the Coalescence from Rolf. They knew that fire was nowhere close to a beat because we had just seen it in the fight before. And then they come back with a sound barrier and Death Blossom of their own. There's no way that the Titans can defend against that. The almost only course of action was to maybe wait until the final moment to pop Coalescence, try and disengage the Lucio first, like speed out back towards your Mega and get some type of cover. Let the Lucio Moira healing take over, maybe have some pressure on the point, and then come back. But really tough position. I think it's more to speak to Dallas Fuel. They know what they were able to force out of the Titans there. And they executed great.
See, Frywinner just trying to encourage the team. Back when he was a kid in Springfield, Missouri, they had to fight against Primal Rage Winston while walking uphill in a snowstorm. It ain't easy out there. And we'll see what the Titans can do now as we come back after the break. It is a match point scenario. Dallas want to book their slot in the June Joust.
Well, that's definitely one of those maps, if you're Vancouver Titans, that you just forget ever happened. I mean, you save it for VOD review. There is stuff you can take away from that, but in the moment, in terms of this match, the team just needs to completely forget that they just played that map, because that, unfortunately, was not a good showing by them at all. on defense, the exact thing that I was worried about happened, where they started on the Orisa comp, which, to begin with, I don't think Orisa is that great on first point defense. Volskaya, compared to Hatamura, I think she's great there, but Volskaya, there's just way too many flank routes. There's way too much areas where you need that extra mobility from the Winston. And the fact that they were also running like the Mercy comp there, I think they changed, the casters touched on it. I think they changed either 3 or 4 players on the last, and they had like 0 ult charge across their entire team, as opposed to Fuel's pushing in there with 4 or 5 ults. You are never going to win that fight if you're Vancouver Titan. And that is why you see a lot of teams start just on that default Winston Diva comp, so you don't have to switch if you go to last. But like I said, unfortunately, that's definitely one of those maps that you just forget ever happened. You know, you can go back and look at it at VOD review later, but in terms of like right now in this match, they just need to forget they played that and look forward to Numbani. Attack still seems like it's an issue with the team. I can't pinpoint so far and see exactly what it is they're not doing enough yet. It definitely looks like they're always almost on the back foot. It looks like either Fuel, you know, Shock, whoever they're playing, always seems like they're the more aggressive team, but you know, you can sometimes use that to your advantage, though. If you are playing like passive like that and trying to bait the other team in, you really can't afford to lose anyone early. You really have to try and just bait them in and pick off like a single target. But it looks like that's not really working. So honestly, I would just like to see them turn it up to 11 in terms of aggression and just be getting in there early almost every fight. It looks like Dalton is trying to do that on some of them, but it sometimes looks like the team isn't really on the same page and ready to do it. But Numbani's very different. On defense on Numbani, I actually would be interested to see if they do run something like the Orisa again. I doubt it. I think Winston Diva first point Numbani defense is pretty standard. I expect to see pretty standard for most of the map. But they need to get back like how they were playing on that first map. Because on the first map on Oasis, they actually won a couple of those duels, a couple of the mirror fights, but I don't think they won like a single one there on Volskaya. So an unfortunate map there. I do have some codes real quick though, so I'm going to put these in now so I don't forget to do it later. So these are codes for the BNet skins. You can get any of your favorite players' skins out there. You know, Vancouver Titans, the blue and green does look pretty darn good. I'm a fan of the colors. So I'm going to put the first one in right now. They go fast though, so I'm just going to let you know it might get used up instantly. If you miss it, I'm sorry, you know, and there's the second one. There's the 2 codes there. So going to map 3 here, Numbani also. Unfortunately, we've still yet to have any of the breadstick opportunities also. Like I said, if either Fire or Rolf do get a boop off the map, that's breadsticks too. And Numbani has a couple areas where that can happen. It not a ton of boops normally happen here, but I have seen it happen. But really, that was a rough last map. There's no sugarcoating it. They just got kind of run over again. And it's kind of the same thing that I talked about before keeps happening, where it seems like the enemy Moira is almost always building their coalescence first, and they're just like heavy engaging with it and picking off a target early, or they're just like putting the pressure and forcing Vancouver back, and then Vancouver is stuck with doing some like risky engage there. So I'm not really sure how they can fix that in the moment. Teru still looks good. Dalton looks good. Like, there's still a lot of good signs from the team, but they really need to put it all together, and they really need to get this first point. It's been 2 matches still since they've actually had a point on attack, and their defense at times has looked good. Their attack has looked okay at certain areas, but they really need to start converting this into actual points and get the momentum rolling, which I think they can do. I think Volskaya 2CP can always be weird. That's just the nature of 2CP, especially the fact that their defense, they got snowballed on so hard, but they really need to start trying to figure out their attack here and getting better dives. And it looks like Numbani should be starting soon. You say healer difference? I can't really say, again, I can't say it's Rolf's fault on some of this. I keep talking about like the coalescence, the build speed, but that really is a team thing also. Like, if your team is losing the duels or you're losing someone early, it's a lot harder to try and build ult when you're losing. So I can't really say that's all on Rolf. But it looks like this one's starting now, so I'm going to go ahead and toss it back to the casters, and hopefully I will see you after this for a map 4. If not, I'll give them my closing thoughts then, and I will see you after this map.
You think you come out of these qualifiers with a slightly cleaner record, but Matt, the Dallas Fuel have been up against some quality competition, showing that it isn't all about Watson's opinion of you that matters.
Well, I mean, you see the power rankings here.
favors winning, right? Shanghai has been great in APAC. Dallas, winning the Melee, and then here continuing into the June Joust, and then Piggy on his lonesome there, representing the Outlaws. Hanging out.
Yeah, that's probably because Junju's
Because,
getting subbed in and out though as well, gets like less game time. But also Jexa was at 16th, so he's still in the top 20, Matt. That's 6 players in the top 16. Pretty nice.
All right, so as we move back into this series, Dallas up 2-0. Not surprising. Map number 1, close. Map number 2, not so much.
Unclose.
We'll see if the Titans can put together... Yeah, unclose would be the right word there. As we'll see as we go into Numbani, if they can put up a fight here against Dallas. Dallas looking for that 3-0, pad the map differential.
0-7 stand the Vancouver Titans so far. Obviously, tough pill to swallow coming out of 2 qualifier runs with no series wins. And look, it doesn't get any easier. Obviously, if you don't win here in the qualifiers, you don't get to compete in the knockouts. You don't get as many games.
And to be fair, they've had an absolutely brutal stretch of games
been
here.
rough.
Just an absolutely brutal. Like, if you are trying to get a win and hype your team up, get them going in the right direction, they've played the Gladiators, the Rain, the Shock, and then the Fuel. All 4 of those teams will be in knockouts, probably. So you look at the teams that they have played.
That is just awful.
And it's tough. I mean, it doesn't get much easier though. Like, you kind of look through the rest of their schedule, and it's very difficult to be like, okay, well, where are the wins going to be? Like, how is this going to play out?
Well, Numbani wouldn't be a terrible place to start, but the Titans have definitely shown they have a little bit of trouble dealing with Dallas in the mirror. And it's those small decisions. It's when and where they commit ultimates and how they try and sort of change up the positional game by leveraging some of those ultimates that doesn't quite seem to be on the same level as the Fuel. Let's see what they can do here now with their defender's advantage. They'll play on the high ground here. Most of this Titans team playing pretty compact, Matthew.
Yes, they've decided to come out and mirror, which is the right decision here on defense. Because if Dallas Fuel gets the point and then starts to move down the streets,
they get snowballed.
They have to change compositions. They're in a lot of trouble, yeah.
All right, this ain't a great look for the Titans right now. They need to take some position, and so they do like a short jump with Chunksic to get him on the point here. The Sticky Bomb connection on Fearless is good. This is really going to stretch the healing resources of the Fuel. You see the Fearless is sort of ducking a little bit, not sure if he can engage. He had to wait for the Coalescence. Almost 1 tick for Dallas, but not quite there yet. Friedwiener needs to be careful. Sparkle just trying to chip that paint a little bit on the Diva mech, and he's going to try and slink away now. He just gets away in that duplicate, goes for a Death Blossom. It's interrupted by Teru's duplicate of Micro Rockets. He also will be knocked out of that dupe form now. So back to Organic Echoes.
The sound barrier is a little too late, though, as now you'll have Hanbin use his self-destruct to get back in his mech. So Chunks is so far behind. They are... I don't know how they're going to try and fight this. Chunksic now back in the fight. But those 15, 20 seconds, you don't have a main tank by the point or near the point, end up costing you.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it was just Friedwiener and Dalton, pushed down main at the top of your screen there against what looked like 3 or 4 players. And look, your defense matrix just does not last that long. You cannot stick so close to an enemy Reaper like that without, eliminating him for risk of losing a mech or a player. It was Dalton in that case. He saved Death Blossom at the very least, and like you pointed out, Matt, there's no snowball here necessarily because Rolf will have a Coalescence soon. What are the Titans doing here? Wrapping around the backside? They're going for it. Teleporting for Dalton to the high ground. He wants to try and get value out of this Death Blossom. Not a terrible way to do it. Fielder can't fade away right now, but he's healed up enough with the passive self-healing of that Coalescence and Jexa by his side that Dalton gets nothing, even though he tries to set up with a fancy position.
I don't hate taking this fight early, though. Like, with the way this Streets phase goes, you kind of played around this bus area, the first curve. If you lose there, you probably don't get a second one. If you do get a second fight, it's not going to be great. The issue is Dallas Fuel can force the issue with the sound barrier here. Potentially see Sparkle like duplicate the Reaper or the Diva in this case, and just push the card over the line here.
Duplicate here for both Echoes. Dallas close to another checkpoint though, and Sparkle's going to copy the Diva. Teru reciprocates. Pressuring Chunksic seems to be the name of the game right now. Get the Winston low. He's going to get a bit of Biotic Orb attention. That self-destruct, that's quite scary. The Titans can't actually fall back the way they would have wanted to because of the bomb. Dalton is felled by Doha here, and a self-destruct will come out now from Hanbin, if I'm not mistaken. No, it was Sparkle. Hanbin has his now. Doha falls, Sparkle gets Terror with a focusing beam here, and the Titans, man, barely holding on.
Yeah, they're going to have a Coalescence here, though, if they want to use it. Rolf's got that big support ultimate if they feel like they can extend this, and he's going to pop it
Fire
now.
was so low. That Coalescence had to come out there, or they would have lost to Lucio. Chunksic, even with the Coalescence healing, can barely stay alive under the scrutiny of the focusing beam. He does still stand, though. There will be...
It's a good disengage, though, by the
I mean, another Death Blossom available here. Fearless drops in. It's a short jump. Here we go. Into the back of Doha. Comes up with 3. Oh, my. Yep. Looks like the Titans flew Emirates. Yikes.
It's when the Coalescence comes through from Rolf, they have a little bit of an advantage in terms of the player count. FRD just jumps off the side.
Sorry, I thought Doha might have spelled something out there, but again, it would likely not be in English.
Oh no, he was just playing with his TP. Kind of just playing with the location of it coming in front. But when Rolf uses that Coalescence, they can't use it aggressively because Chunksic is so low from the focusing beam from Sparkle. They're just trying to charge him up and give him some more HP, and the pain keeps coming.
I'm feeling it.
This will be the Coalescence from Fielder.
I didn't think I was an empath, man. I'm a bit cold and logical sometimes, but I am feeling whatever the Titans must be going through right now. Dalton and Terror are both down, so there's no real damage potential here. Rolf already used Coalescence. Fire gets a barrier, but Terror was in spawn, I think, so it doesn't benefit from it. Still Sound Barrier keeps him in the fight for now. Buys a little bit of time to get Terror back in the action. Chunksic, okay, the fade was there for Fielder. He's able to get away, and Chunksic wasn't nearly as lucky. Death Blossom now from Dalton. He attempted to go for it, but it's cut short by Doha's Hellfire shotgun. And the Dallas Fuel have 2 minutes and 59 seconds on the clock on Numbani. That is, that's a pretty quick time, Matt.
Yeah, it's not the fastest, right? We've definitely seen faster, but
it's pretty unslow,
quick, considering.
Right? You would say unslow?
Well, I mean, yeah, unslow. Considering how long and drawn out these fights are, it is a pretty substantial amount of time to be left with. So we'll see if the Titans can, complete the map, get us into overtime period. This is also a brutal stretch for the Titans, Mitch. If I'm correct,
It doesn't get better, right?
I don't think they took a point against the Rain. And like the same thing I think happened yesterday against the Shock, and we're in the same scenario here today. So really, like I mentioned, obviously the teams they're playing are in the upper echelon of the Western region right now. But still, I mean, a tough stretch where you can't even get the points, right? It's been kind of tough.
This is Han been self-destruct in those last few moments. And the resuit. Oh.
Well, there was one that we saw from the third-person POV where Sparkle ended up using a self-destruct and then ran on top of the cart, which was being fought over, and called it in just to put down some extra damage on the tank. So the remake.
Yeah, in this,
sometimes we see it for the memes. Sometimes it actually.
I mean,
pays off.
250 damage. Call it what you like, but it's no joke. And in this kind of meta where it's kind of difficult to deal with big burst damage, it takes time to heal up. 250 straight to the face. Nothing to sneer at all.
The radius is big as well. The radius is sneakily large that you can get hit by.
I think we saw it happen to a Mercy once, and I couldn't believe. It was on, like, Ilios, I think, and a Mercy got killed by it, and I was like, wait, how? All right, here's Coalescence. Both sides have it. Fielders is very aggressive, allows Doha to get quite low. Obviously, your duplicated Divas now make their appearance. It's going to be Sparkle trying to pressure down Chunksic and a self-destruct there, which will go pretty high and wide. No one really bothered by that one too much. Teru actually copies Chunksic, or rather a Winston here. So will that Primal Rage, I don't think it'll really do much against the sound barrier here as Dalton goes down to Sparkle's self-destruct. Sparkle now trying to dump altitude here as a bomb gets dropped by Hanbin, if I'm not mistaken. He's getting so much done. The focusing beam on Teru. Sparkle is on a tear right now. Rolf knows he's done. He was 1v4 on the point now, and Chunksic looking a little foolish here with his fists flying.
is you get so much more value out of duplicating the D.Va or the Reaper than a Winston. We did see teams like duplicate the Winston at the start, but the ability to just launch 2 self-destructs, players only have so many movement abilities to get out of the way, dodge them. There's not like a Rhine shield to sit behind, but even then, Sparkle just he's trying to farm in the mid here up the street. He's taking out the focusing beam, but see if don't. I mean, that is such a fast kill there on a Teru. Not even opportunity there to hit him with.
But that's what we're talking about, man. Burst damage is hard to deal with in these compositions. Micro rockets do it, sticky bombs do it, Reaper does it. There's a lot of volatility involved with playing this comp. I mean, Fried goes down to the Primal Rage there. I think it's a decent target selection for Fearless, as the Minidiva can't do anything to get away as, whereas the Moira and Lucio could. Okay, Sparkle drops again. Sparkle hasn't been involved in this fight, and the Dallas Fuel are fine with 5 players. They're handling themselves.
Yeah, I mean, they win that fight down Sparkle at the beginning when it kicks off. And now we're already at 1 minute and 36 seconds on the clock. You're going to have basically everything outside of Primal Rage here for the Dallas Fuel. They're in a perfect position to get this point A hold, continue that kind of that unfortunate streak for the Titans.
Terry looking for a bit more of that Echo diff, that hit of dopamine here in this fight. Copies the D.Va, pressure on Hanbin now. Self-destruct already, he'll have 2 if he's done this properly. Back in the mech now, Doha goes down to the first bomb, and Sparkle does him one better. It's the whole backline of the Titans that's down. Rolf had coalescence, he died during it. Fire had the sound barrier, no opportunity to use it in this fight. So it's going to be an enforced savings plan for the Lucio of the Vancouver Titans. Not only has been the no extra carbohydrates acquired, but no beat there, yikes.
Okay, so let's see if they can win this fight, though. FRD jumps off the side. You're going to have to wait a few seconds for him to get back. But you should be able to get this fight going, 25 seconds or so on the clock. And you're going to have Sound Barrier Primal. The issue is you most likely will end up seeing the coalescence from Fielder during this. Because he'll be able to extend the point here with Fearless's Primal and Hanbin's Self-Destruct.
20 seconds on the clock. Dalton's forced to go for a defensive death.
Oh, that
loss.
is such an early sound barrier. This is so good, though. Dallas can now disengage.
Yeah, they knocked him back as well. I think Hanbin just charged him with DM, and it's an absolute massacre. The Vancouver Titans have nothing left to work with. Doha deals with them. Hanbin was sat on the point just so there'd be no tick scenario. And the Vancouver Titans, they know better than anyone that just ain't good enough.
No, it's the streak of games that is just brutal continues for the Titans, and you've seen them start to look better, like we've talked about, but just not enough to get wins here. Where Dallas comes in, they take care of business.
Dallas have now cemented themselves their spot in the June Joust knockouts. Bear in mind, Dallas had the bottom seed in the May Melee knockouts and ended up winning the entire thing. So much can change within this next week or so. Especially in a meta like this where teams are constantly trying to innovate and perfect. And you could say the same for Vancouver, Matt. Obviously, this is the end of their June Joust run. Obviously, their games are done. They have that extra time now, though, to go back and focus, go back and prepare, and try and get a read on what, the next meta game might entail. Maybe taking a little bit look of, what live is looking like, and maybe scrim on that. It's time to talk about a player of the match here for the Dallas Fuel. And we've been handing these out willy-nilly to DPS players. We've been a lot to supports, but in this case, it's going to be Hanbin, Matt. Really squeaky clean stuff. It's a bit annoying for D.Va players because they kind of get outshone sometimes by their Echo because Echoes just get more self-destructs, thereby more self-destruct kills. But Hanbin, even though he charges his self-destruct much slower than Sparkle, gets a lot done with it. Really great impact. I think he blew up Teru, earlier on with those micro rockets at the start of one of those fights, and you can just see just how much of a difference this guy makes.
He's always in the right position to finish kills off. Great use of the defense matrix. And yeah, I mean, even though the big bombs sometimes come through from Sparkle and he's able to get multiple ones, Hanbin always gets great value. You see there the 2K at the end. Just a tremendous game from him. I mean, a 1 death per 10 minutes. I mean, come on now.
I don't think that many... Okay, so in this series, that is actually still insane. We find it
31 elims per 10 minutes to 1 death.
We find it acceptable for like 4 or 5 deaths per 10. But in Dallas's comp, defensively, they're indomitable. They full hold. Hanbin gets these suited often, but there's usually a coalescence in play or some sort of defensive...
the Titans are on the same comp. It's not like the comp's allowing them to live. Like,
listen, Matt. Sometimes you don't have to call a pizza a breadstick. You can just sugarcoat it a little bit.
I can't believe Danny was wrong with this prediction.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, that bold prediction, that one goes down the gurgler. But look,
out on a limb.
You've got to try, though. At least he's actually attempting to make these hot takes. I mean, and the guy just wears it. That's great. I'd love to hear. In a moment, we'll get to hear a little bit from Fielder, but I think the Dallas Fuel now, Matt, they kind of set themselves up looking pretty good, right? We've seen them play an exhausting amount of mirrors for them, right? Mirror compositions. They're playing a lot of this sort of, this dive setup with Lucio Moira, and they're looking really clean. I think a team like Vancouver is maybe not going to expose some of your weaknesses in cohesion there, but that being said, even with the amount of talent on the Vancouver side, even with like Teru blowing up Sparkle sometimes in these fights, Dallas is still resilient to that. They can play 5v6, especially with they have Coalescence in play, because no one else really steps a foot out of line in those situations.
Yeah, no, I think we didn't really learn much about Dallas today. We knew they were very good at this composition. They do a nice job of rotating through their ultimates. A few times I think you saw Sparkle get first killed by Teru, but I think probably it wouldn't happen against, like, let's say if it's just the Shock on the other side or somebody. I think you probably see them play it a little bit differently. So Dallas, they take care of business. The Titans, I think it's back to the drawing board yet again.
There you have it. So a bit of a break coming up for the Titans and for everybody at home. But when we return, we'll be hearing from Fielder, obviously from the victorious Dallas Fuel.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Unfortunate outcome again for Vancouver. I can't really sugarcoat it. They did not look good those last two maps. Unfortunate considering how good they looked against Shock yesterday. And really, that first map, they also looked pretty good. It was competitive on both rounds. It looked like they could have taken either one, but I don't know what happened to them between that first map and the last two, but they're going to have a lot to discuss going into this break coming up. So they have a 3-week break, it's sounding like, before their next match. So plenty of time to figure out everything. That's the end of this split also. I believe next one, there will be no hero bans again, which I'd say that's going to be good for the team. I think even though some of the players don't have a ton of flexibility, I think the heroes that are like meta right now doesn't necessarily favor the strengths of Vancouver Titans. So I think going away from the hero bans for next set of matches will be actually good for the team. But definitely an unfortunate showing from there. I'll say the big thing I noticed, specifically on Numbani, is you saw how different Fuel was playing the defense than Vancouver. Vancouver on defense, specifically for first point, they sat up top, and they just let Fuel push down main into them and force them back into that top corner there. And there is no way you should ever let that happen on defense. If the other team is pushing in through a small choke like main on Numbani, that's where you need to fight them. That's where you need to try and hold them there and punish them there. And you saw Fuel on defense every time. They were just stuffing Vancouver every time they tried to come through the choke. So that's something that Vancouver definitely should go back and watch and see how Fuel played that and adjust that. And then, honestly, on their attack, they just need to figure out better ways to get their ult usage off. They just seem like their Reaper ults, everything else like that, they were just not getting the value they needed to. As opposed to Doa, it seemed like almost every other Reaper ult, he was getting like a 2-3K with it. So, but again, next set of matches, hero bans are going to be gone. The meta, I'm sure, will look pretty different. So whatever I'm talking about now in terms of team comps won't matter in a few weeks, but definitely an unfortunate showing there after how strong they looked yesterday. So unfortunately, the breadsticks elude. The first point keeps eluding them, but this 3-week break gives them plenty of time to keep building up that chemistry with Changsik, to figure out comps that they want to run going into the no hero bans and everything else there. But before I go, for everyone who's stuck around, I do have a couple more codes to give away for the player skins. Again, you can use them on any hero you want. You enter it in on the BNet site. We got 2 here. They go fast, so get them while they're hot. Here's the first one. I'll put it in 3, 2, 1. There. That's in there. If you didn't get it, it's probably already used. I'm sure someone has a bot where they're just taking all these codes. Probably not. They don't, but you never know. And there's the second one. So like I said, unfortunate showing from them today. They looked much better yesterday, so not. I'm sure the players themselves aren't satisfied with this, but like I said, they have a 3-week break, a lot of time to get more chemistry together, and to hopefully go into the next split looking stronger than they have this one. Because the first split, they looked good. They took a map every single split, like every match. They didn't get 3-0'd in any of them. But I don't know if it was the hero bans, if it was just having like a new player they're still having to get chemistry or what. But the second split was definitely not their split. But going back to the no hero bans in a couple weeks should be good for them. But that'll be it for me for a while. Like I said, 3 weeks until our next match versus Boston. I will be back then for that one. But that is going to be it for this. Vancouver unfortunately falls 3-0 to Dallas Fuel. And I will see you for the Boston match in a few weeks. Thank you all for watching.